deeply. Okay, right, so that is soaking in. I'm going to wipe up where it's gone on the tabletop. So starting with the really, really dark that we mixed, I'm going to put it down that side, and at the same time I'm just going to lift it up so that it runs a bit. It's not going to run that way very much because we've got the tree stopping it. As you can see, it stops at that tree. Wipe the table. Now hopefully that will dry reasonably dark. I'm going to come down into the water as well. So basically we've got half of it done in the really, really dark. And we need, on this one, we've got a bit of light behind that one of the trees. So I'm taking the watery one and starting at the top, I'm coming down, I'm leaving a gap, and then I'm starting into the water, starting it again. Because it's so wet, it should just soften off and blend off and leave a bit of light. I'm just going to put a little bit more dark up on that side there, and a little bit more dark in the water. I want that really dark over that side because it always dries lighter, so it's going to dry quite light. Anyway, so I'm going to leave that now to dry. That is wet. I'm getting in a mess. Basically, it's dark all over with a light bit just sort of halfway up the page. And I don't want that really to spread into that white bit anymore. So I might just do some drying. But I did want a little bit darker, so I'm just going to go back in. I'm mixing some more Payne's grey and some more sepia. And whilst it's still wet, I'm just doing that corner and that corner of the water. Just to give me more depth. So I'm going to we rubbed off the masking fluid. We are ready to go with making this front tree. So plain water. Paint that tree trunk in plain water. Not too messy, not too much water, but just enough to make the paint move. Okay. And with the sky paint that's gone it's a little bit more brown in it. come down and make the bark pattern. So I'm just pulling it down the left side and then pulling it across, and it should just be going across on its own a bit. Don't do them all the same length apart. Don't do them all the same length across. And I find that quite difficult because something kicks in and it just does it. And sometimes you can go up a bit, you can come down a bit. They're not all dead horizontal. Some can be a bit of a diagonal. And the next biggest one, I'm going to do the same, some water. Doesn't have to be precise. Start at the top, come down that left-hand side, and it should just pull it across. It's just start bleeding across on its own. But if not, give it a bit of a poke, technical term that, and it will do it. See, that's easy once you've got the hang of it. And I'm going to turn it upside down because otherwise I should put my hand straight on there. So I'm then going to do that one, a little bit of water to the top. Remember to do the opposite side now, otherwise you'll, I don't suppose it matters. You can have trees different. You're not going to get the same pattern because you haven't got the same amount of room. I just dotted some of the dark colour in coming down. And this one, water, bark. So I'm just dotting a bit in. And then I'll turn it back up. And we've got trees, except we haven't got that last one. And whilst I'm waiting for these to dry, I'm going to do the reflections. So I've wet the big reflection. It doesn't have to reflect what you've got, just look like it, because the eye does that all for you. And this one, just dotting a bit in. Just a few dots on those, and I've got one more to do. So that's all the reflections done. We just got that one tree left there. Can I do it without putting my hand? Yeah, I'm just pulling the line up. It's not I'm not painting all of it. I'm just pulling so that it's slightly patterned. And I'm just going to go back into this big tree and just it's dry now, or getting dry, and I'm just making some more defined lines. You can do them right across, you can do them halfway across. Because it's the biggest tree, it's more noticeable. Good. With the same dark mix, I'm just making a bit more that is less watery. I'm going to put in some land. So I start there, across there, that's against the water. So that's just a, then I'm going to just come across the bottoms of the trees, the real trees and not the reflections. Fill that in a bit. And then I'm going to use, when that's dry, I'm going to use a bit of white gouache to put some snow on there. That has joined two halves together now. So we're going to put in some background trees and to give it a bit of depth. So I'm going to put in one just to the left, of this tree here. Now I know it's going to dry lighter, but I really only want it very, very light. So water on the brush into the paint and then dab the brush on a tissue. And then with the side of the brush, I'm going up in blobs. So it's broken. And that bit down the bottom there is going to be a little bit dark. So I'm just dabbing it with a tissue. I'm going to stick another one in here. So water on the brush, pick up some paint, dab the brush on the tissue. I'm going to put that one, I'm going to put one up here. So basically I'm just going up in a straight line with blobbing as I go. So you've got the impression, and then I'm just dabbing to remove about half of it. So it's just a very light idea of one. And put one here, water on brush, paint, dab, and go. Up you go. I'm going to make that one bend. And put another one next to that. And then go all the way up, just to give the idea of it being, there's trees behind. There's just not a line of trees against the water. And I'm going to do one here. Maybe I can have a little bit. This one's going to be a bit bigger. It's almost off the paper, so it doesn't matter. You might not even have it on the paper. And that just gives an idea of depth. And that tree I've just done needs a bit of a reflection. Not much, but it's the same way. Only instead of going up, come down. And that one there, there'll be a reflection there. Be very light, wishy-washy. The other ones are too far away and you won't get a reflection of those. Well, not in my pond anyway. I'm going to do some snow on this ground because I forgot to use the wax crayon, and I'm going to do a few of the bigger branches in the white. So a bit of snow. You can see it's breaking up, which is fine. I'm just doing it sideways. So it's sort of dry brushing it on. Oh, I've got snow, and I've also got it all over my fingers. So that just gives it the idea. And then we need to, particularly on this big tree, have some snowy branches. So I'm going to come out of there and across those two trees. And have a snow branch, a snowy branch. And coming out the other side, not directly opposite. So coming down there. And up there. All right, so that's, and then I have a little one there that just goes across and out. Okay, get rid of the white off my brush. Make sure you clean it properly if you've used a good brush. Or make sure you clean it properly if you haven't. And with the colour that we use for the sky, just touch underneath the branch so that it looks like it's snow on top. So right next to that branch. You've got the dark white, yeah, next to the white branch, you've got the dark of the tree. And I'm turning my paper upside down again so that I can get to this one. And that's also got obviously don't cover up the snowy bit. And with the other trees, just pull out a couple of sticky things and just make a branch here and there in the dark color. I'm just doing branches that stick up so that it looks like they've dropped off and not grown properly. Just put a couple on each tree. Don't overdo it because we don't need it over them. We need some grasses around the tree, so I'm going to use the white again. So I'm back in the white. I should have done this beforehand. And just pull up a few grasses around the bases of the trees. And if you want, you can reflect them. So reflect and then pull with your finger. Just put your finger on and pull them down. They don't look as if they're there as much, or they're not as defined. I'm going to make this one disappear. So I put some whitewash onto this big tree, and then I'm going to do the same with it and just pull it down. And you can see that it just disappears into the water. What else? So I got, I need to do the branch again because it's just dried and disappeared. So I'm going back into the dark and doing a branch underneath that white line again on that one and that one so that it's thicker, and on this one, although this one's not dried so light. Remember that the dark branch will carry on without the snow because the top bits will be too flimsy to support snow. And I've got one up here with no actual wood whatsoever. There we are. You can put some dark grass in amongst the white grass. And just reflect that by painting it into the water and then pulling down with your finger. I want some grass over this side, so with the dark colour, I'm just painting, flicking in some grasses and flicking some in here in the water and pulling down. Just look at your painting to see where else that you need to have reflections. I think that's it. Oh, these stop a bit abruptly, so I'm just going to carry these trees on a bit so that they come to a fine taper at the end. The two on the left. I don't want them to go out of the picture, but oh, you can, if you want it to look more like perhaps snow wood, you could put extra snow on extra thick bits, lumps and bumps. Because it doesn't lay uniformly. Then, if you've not got stars already, or if you want a feeling of snow and you're going to splat, you need another palette. Put some gouache in.
Hi everyone, I will show you.
Oh, okay. So
Bye. Oh gosh.
oh, that means I didn't record the last bit.